we saw this majestic, mystical ceremony that took place in Ayodhya, and it reverberated across the globe. And in this telecast, I carry forward this conversation about what the Indic civilization, Hindu religion, and Bharat mean for the rest of the globe. How does the world look at India, infer it, understand it better now that there is this resurgence, this rediscovery, this Punar Jagaran that we witness of Hinduism and of Bharat? Starting on the telecast with me, I have with me Mukesh Aghi. He's the president and CEO of USISPF. He's joining me from United States of America. He's lived there for quite some time. And Mukesh Aghi, I was just 2 days ago having a conversation with some of the tallest, most recognized religious heads of the world, from a Christian cardinal to an imam to a rabbi and to a Buddhist to a Zoroastrian priest. They all came together and spoke about their idea of what they feel is Hinduism and what this ceremony that is happening on such a global scale means for India, but more importantly, the impact that it has for the world. How do you witness this, Indian living in America, and the American perspective to it?
And the consecration of Ram Mandir today is a start of India's Renaissance era. That means that you have an economic growth taking place after almost 250 plus years of colonization. You also have an innovation taking place in India. You have a sense of political stability coming into the country. India used to be considered fragile five, where you have constant changes of government. And what we are seeing is a sense of confidence coming in among the people. And it's not just about Hindus, it's about Muslims, it's about Sikhs, Jains, and other religions. So the event today, the way we see it from US perspective, is a flag-bearing session that the growth of India continues both from a spirituality perspective, economic perspective, technology perspective, and its leadership on the global stage also. So congratulations, and look forward to supporting that process.
Mukesh Aghi, you know, at a time 200 years ago where India was enslaved by the colonists, by the British, and it has taken us to 200 years to gain our independence, and another 75 to come forth in terms of developing us, in terms of evolving ourselves. But somewhere down the line, there have been these remnants of the colonialism, the legacy of colonialism that we call, that continued to be carried forward. Do you think a step and systematically at that has been taken today? And not just today, in the past few years that have passed by, that is reflective of a new resurgent India? And is the world recognizing this? Or is this just a churn that is happening internally within the country for the countrymen?
Megha, the Renaissance period of Europe, which was starting in 17th century to 19th century, was based on their colonialism, the wealth they brought in from the rest of the world into Europe itself. Whereas India's Renaissance is starting from its internal growth story, its internal innovation, and its internal economic success. The world is seeing that. I think what we have to be careful is you have a world which is not used to a former colonial country rising up. And what we're seeing is the imbalance which is going to create, whereas India's rise, China's rise, and you have an international order which was set up after the Second World War, and the former colonial countries are part of the permanent member of the Security Council. So I think we will have to adjust to these, and they have to adjust to the rise of India. Will it be taken easily? My answer is no. Because, for example, India should have a rightful seat in the Permanent Security Council, and that is being denied constantly itself. So I think what India has to do is continue its economic growth, continue its Renaissance period, but also it's important to have that humility as it grows rather than bringing hubris itself. So I think
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. You rightfully mentioned, there have been a lot of obstacles and hindrances that India has been fighting, even as it grows in stature. Because, when the world economies are coming together, wanting to do business with India, wanting to collaborate, have these diplomatic and strategic ties that only bolster further. But there can only be one superpower. And as India inches closer up the ladder of becoming the third biggest economy, and then perhaps even vying for the tag of the numero uno economy of the world, there is bound to be criticism that is thrown India's way. There is bound to be challenges that are going to be thrown India's way. And I give this example of these number of these articles that I had been looking at, particularly from CNN and BBC and Guardian and Al Jazeera and Washington Post. And the common thread in these articles and their headlines with regards to the Ayodhya consecration ceremony was that it is under Modi that there is a divisive communal card that is being played. For example, there was an article with a headline at CNN which said that the controversial Ayodhya Ram Mandir being inaugurated, which was built on the ruins of Babri Masjid. Something similar in Al Jazeera and the other of those articles. So my point being over here is that despite the massive progress that India has made on all fronts, there continues to be this propaganda and narrative that is built, and it was built back in the day, and it continues to be built even now, even though the contrary to it is true.
Agree, Megha. I think you have what I call double standards. You have religious efforts and political campaign in the US. You have Christian right, which supports certain parties itself. You have in other part of the world, religious plays a critical role. So I think these are ways to basically challenge and question the economic rise of India. India is not a threatening power. India is growing on its own. So I think we will face these issues and you will have those challenges. But what we are seeing is we have a leadership which continues to move forward in a steady, continuous manner. So you will see this criticism coming up more and more as time goes by. But you have a country of 1.4 plus billion people with the third largest Muslim community and other religion, and they live in harmony. Yes, you do have issues, but we've had those issues among religion from time immemorial. So I don't think this is
okay,
and we should not ponder too much on that.
Okay, Mukesh Aghi, also the point that the religions of the world has celebrated, they are recognized and acknowledged, whether it is Christianity, we talk about Judaism, we talk about Islam, some of the biggest, most well-known religions of the world. And we also reflect on how they are associated with the holiest of their sites, whether we talk about the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem, we talk about Mecca, Medina, we talk about Vatican City. But something as grand, as majestic, as pious for the Hindu community had not been built until the Ram Mandir in Ayodhya. Why do you think it has taken so long, centuries after centuries, for this significant step to be taken?
Well, I think we have to understand Hindu religion by itself is not basically a centralized form of a religious organization. It is a form of belief, form of life, and people basically tend to worship according to their spirituality. So it is not dictated by commandments, it's dictated by way of life. And I think from that perspective, there was never an effort to basically consolidate into a one single, I call religion, with a political base itself. I think what the current administration has done is provide a center, and it's nothing about trying to say we consolidate the Hindu power, providing a center of aspiration for Hindus to reach out, just like Christians go to Vatican, or Jews goes to Jerusalem, or Muslims go to Makkah, Medina. You need a central place for people to come in and express their spirituality. And it is not, in any case, is discriminating. I'll give you in New Jersey, we just launched a temple, and basically what we're seeing is 50% of the visitors to the temple are non-Hindus. So it is not about just Hinduism, it's about encompassing the world to talk about our way of life, and I think that's a good thing which has been done by launching this temple.
Absolutely. You very rightly mentioned that, and a quote that was spoken by Prime Minister today after the consecration ceremony reflects just that, because he says that this temple is a temple of India's vision, India's philosophy, India's direction. This temple is the temple of national consciousness in the form of Ram. And may I remind our audience that back several years ago, before independence, it was Gandhi who spoke about Ram, who integrated the entire country of people of various diverse religions and communities to come together with the name of Ram. So, Mukesh Agi, can the world at this point in time understand the larger ethos of what Ram portrays, and not just, like you said, it's a way of life, it's good governance, it's about righteousness, it's about honesty, it's about leading the right path, following the right things to do. So can an attempt be made for the world to understand this very concept? Now, the world understands and venerates Gandhi for his charkha, for his non-violent ways, for his satyagraha. Can this be taken forward to tell the story of Ram, to tell the story of Ramayana for people of all religions, all castes, all sects, to pick the important aspects, the teachings, the preachings of Ramayana?
So, Megha, this is, as I said, we start the Renaissance period for India, and it is up to us to go explain what is this all about. It's up to us to basically convey the message of peace, to convey the message of harmony, to convey the message of universality. And I think that effort has to be conveyed by not just political leadership, it has to be conveyed by every citizen, every believer. And I'm not saying that you have to go now and convert people itself. It is all about conveying the message. And yes, you will have resistance. Yes, you will have obstacles. But it is important that we keep on communicating to the world the peaceful message of this effort behind the Ram Mandir. So yes, as you said, some will object to it, others will resist it. But objective is not to convert them. Objective is for them to understand that we as Indians, we as Hindus want to live in peaceful and harmony and celebrate on our beliefs and values and conscious being.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mukesh Agi. Stay on with me, because let me get in other panelists as well. I have with me Charles Thompson. He's an Australian journalist. Charles, thank you for joining us. And, I want to understand from you, what do you view this ceremony, this event that has taken place in India, in Ayodhya, from an outsider's point of view?
Greetings to everybody, and Jai Sri Ram. I have to give a disclosure. On the 2nd and 3rd of December last year, that's just last month actually, I was a judge at an international film festival in Ayodhya. So I was actually there for 2 days or 3 days and witnessed some of the violence and everything that was going on. And curiously, the manager of my hotel was a Muslim gentleman. And I asked him, how do you feel about this whole Ayodhya, the temple being built? And he said, sir, we want jobs. And all this infrastructure and all of you people coming here is going to give us jobs. So he was extremely excited. And I was also fortunate enough to to pay a visit to the construction site. So that's I can definitely say that I was deeply impressed. Where I get mystified, and I think you alluded to this earlier, I've had a look at the coverage of the Australian national broadcaster, the ABC, the BBC, and also France 24. And it seems like they're in another world. They're totally lost.
Yeah.
Not quite sure what they're doing there in Ayodhya. There's nothing about, they don't even explain the fact that this is a land dispute of 500 years that's now been resolved.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I wonder if they're ignorant of the fact, or is this by design? And I'm going to bring that example for you, Charles, that like I said, 200 years ago, the British ruled India. They used the divide and rule policy. There was the Hindu-Muslim divide that broke down India and allowed them to rule for the massive period of 2 centuries. And something similar, at least this is what is being tried when this false narrative, a perception that is being built across the globe, particularly in the western part of the hemisphere, talking about how there is quote-unquote Hindu-Muslim divide, how India is a majoritarian state, how the Muslims are living under fear, when the opposite is true, in the hopes that there is going to be a divide that can be created within India, and then there are vested parties within the country and particularly outside of them that benefit from this divide.
The overseas journalists that visit Ayodhya, don't stay in a 5-star hotel, don't have a driver in a car, get in the local transport, go and stay in a dharmshala or some small thing and meet the locals. Because basically they live in another world. I mean, they just don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
The excitement. I'm actually in Delhi at the moment, and I just can't believe the amount of excitement. Wherever I go, there are flags everywhere. And people are screaming out, Jai Sri Ram. This is a historical, huge event for Bharat. And there's no going back on it.
Absolutely.
Yes, there are biases with the Western media, and they just need to get their act together. They need to do more research and listen to channels like NewsX to get their information.
Right. Taking another perspective to this event, talking about religious tourism, and can there be a boost when we build an infrastructure of the international level, the best of the roads? You have hotels and motels and restaurants, you have railway stations which are world class, you have international airport that has been set up. Is this then enough impetus for global citizens to arrive in Ayodhya?
Okay, so there's the infrastructure that has to be built, that's being built, and I give 100% credit to the government, both of UP and to the federal government for doing that. The problem then lies in bringing it all together. I travel a lot across India, and I was just recently in Cambodia, which has the largest temple for Lord Vishnu in the world. And if we're talking about Hindu religious tourism, they still haven't got it together. Even if we talk about Buddhist tourism, I'll give an example. There is a brand new international airport open in Ayodhya. But I bet if you wanted to fly a domestic flight, let's say from Ayodhya to Gaya or to Kushinagar, there's no connection. You can just fly in and fly out. We need to get all of these religious sites properly connected by these airports.
Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. You make all those important points. Stay on with me, Charles. I'm also being joined by, I have with me Anita Bose. She's the author of the Ramayana. Anita, good to have you on the telecast with us. And if you could tell us where you're joining from and how do you view the revived perspective of a foreign national looking at India right now, in terms of the historic transformations the country is going through, the historic milestones and landmarks it has achieved, and at the same time, the cultural renaissance that is being reflected on a global stage with an event such as this?
Thank you so much. And first of all, Jai Sri Ram and Namaste to all dignitaries. And yes, today I am actually last 11 days I am traveling to Sri Lanka. So it's a blessing that in this auspicious moment I am in Colombo, and today I saw so many pujas for the Ram. And that was really very interesting for me, because it is not only in Colombo, but the other part of the Sri Lanka, their people are from the hills to sea, because Sri Lanka have everything, the lakes and seas and forests and everything, and they are celebrating the Ram Mandir, they are celebrating Ram Lala's Pran Pratishtha, and they are celebrating also Mother Sita and Ram. So it is really, really very much, that you, few minutes ago you said about the religious tourism. And that is very important for them also, for Sri Lanka, for India. As I saw in Southeast Asia, the cultural aspect, you can say that it is already there. The Southeast Asia is more close to our Ramayana and all those things. Just in Cambodia too.
Right.
It is really.
Right, and it's an established fact. Like I said, the Cholas and the several other dynasties that grew in the southern part of our country, and they built empires in Southeast Asia, Colombia and Myanmar, Burma as it was called initially, and you have Philippines and you have Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand. So these are not untouched by the legacy of Ram and the story of Ramayana. In fact, there are these very vibrant, very thriving communities, Hindu communities that are living prosperously in all these countries. But and they are well aware of Hinduism. Sri Lanka, Nepal, they are well aware of Hindu scriptures and cultures, and they practice them as of today. My question to you would be about, the expanse of epics like Ramayana and Mahabharata, which the world is largely unaware of. And when I say the world, I talk about Europe, and I talk about the Middle East, and I talk about North America. When I make a comparison to Aristotle and Plato, and we talk about the most recognized, well-known of these epics, the world epics called Iliad and all these. So why is it that Ramayana and Mahabharata are still in obscurity?
As per Europe, just a few days back I was there, I saw many. I think it is recently changing, There are few good scholars and few people who really want to know about our epic Ramayana and Mahabharata. So there are many works are going on, which is a translating work, especially in the France and Germany, and even in the Oxford also. There are some work is going on the Ramayana and Mahabharata. So there is a Hindu studies. Scriptures are now the part of the academic also. But yes, it is not like the Iliad and Odyssey. But I think it's also needed for us also to tell the people the story.
Okay.
Tell that it is communication should be done. Otherwise,
okay.
It's not possible to reach places.
Okay.
Even in the
Okay. All right. Let me also quickly get in Swamini Hamsananda Giriji, and she belongs to the Geetananda Ashram, and she's joining me from Italy. Thank you, Swamini Hamsananda ji, for joining me on the telecast. And quickly, a view from you, you living all the way in Italy, and when we talk about Ram Rajya and Lord Ram and Sita and Ramayana, how much of an influence does it have in the lives of the people of Italy?
Thank you for inviting me. And in the point of view of Italy, what's happened? In Italian, there is Italian Hindu Union, Sanatana Dharma Sangha, that has many groups of Indian diaspora citizens who live in this period with great Italian Hindu pride, the pride to be Hindu here, and to have a great culture behind them. So this occasion, in this occasion, we have had many seminars on Ramayana, Katha, Stotram, stories in the temples, and also with many scholars we invited to speak on Rama and what's happening in India, and the beauty of this temple in Ayodhya, the beauty of the Rama, the meaning of the Rama who come back to Ayodhya, and we light the lights of the hope that the quality of Rama come in our heart, because Ayodhya means a place where there is no war. So many significance and many symbolism around Rama, and we don't forget the culture, the spiritual culture, the meaning, the deep meaning of Hinduism, of Sanatana Dharma, and the spiritual meaning of the concept of Ram and Sita. So nowadays, even Italian people and Italian schools, the teachers are very interesting of the Indian culture and of Sanatana Dharma.
Okay. Okay, all right. That's interesting of you coming in from Italy. I would have never known about this. I have with me Arun Thakur. He's joining me from UK, from Southall in UK, and he's joining me from Sri Ram Mandir. Thank you, Arun Thakur ji, for joining me on the telecast. And we already know that United Kingdom has a thriving Hindu population. In fact, so much so that we have a Hindu Prime Minister as well. There's Diwali that is celebrated with equal fervor as Christmas is celebrated in the country. So when we talk about, say, Italy, or we talk about France and other of these European nations versus United Kingdom, more and more people, more and more locals partake in the festivities.
Jai Shri Ram to everyone, and Jai Shri Ram to wherever this TV is going. Today is the joyous day for the Hindu community in the world. We are celebrating the Ram Lila comeback to Ayodhya after 550 years. But still, there's a lot of discussion going on the like CNN, BBC. We don't care for that. They have a negative policy, especially against Hindus. Yesterday I was watching the BBC channel, and they were telling all the background of this temple, nothing showing what is going in Ayodhya nowadays. It's a festive mood everywhere in the world. So why you can't join with us? Join with Hindus, join with everyone to celebrate coming back of Ram Lila to Ayodhya. We won the case through the court. We got this place through the court. Everything happened done by the procedure. We're fighting for
Yes,
so
absolutely, absolutely, Arunji. But my larger question about, is there now, today, as of today, a greater understanding of Hinduism by the rest of the world?
I hope so. Like the Charles said, people should listen. People can see. People can see the mind of the people in the world. Whatever we do openly. We don't do anything in behind. We are doing the Ram Lila Murti, everyone watch in the world. We are doing discussion here.
Absolutely.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.